Hi, I am the Devine High Priestess, or the High Priest, whatever you want to call me. Just call me whenever someone's telling lies. And that's why I'm here. So I want everyone to hear this thing, because for 7 years I have listened to these people who are my family members, who were ex-friends, and everybody who got together and decided they were going to steal what was mine and trash my name, run smeared campaigns. I've listened to all of it. I've told I've said what I've said to certain readers, but today this goes out to everybody so they can know the whole truth and how it went down. About 7 years ago, God came to me. I was asleep in a chair right over here, and he said a name. I couldn't remember what the name was, but he woke me up, and I said, "God?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I'm here." And he said, "Son, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go on a journey with me." So he told me. And I didn't know if that meant traveling somewhere or whatever. Okay? So I said, "Of course I will, God. I belong to you. I'm yours." So at that point, he told me, "I'm going to go see your counterpart. I'll be back tomorrow to speak with you, and we'll hash all this out." I said, "But why me?" He said, "Well, first off, you are the black sheep." I said, "Okay, I know that. That's true." I said, "But why the black sheep?" He said, "Well, the first becomes the last." So he told me. I'm just telling you what he told me. And if you want to know what he looks like, he was a man about my size, probably a little older, but he had a red kind of smock on, and over that he had a breastplate on. So I knew this had to be the real deal. I mean, who goes around wearing a breastplate like the Romans? I don't know. Be quiet. We're going to talk. I'm talking to the public. Okay. Anyway, so I said, okay. So that day, I went back to sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and the person who was supposed to be my counterpart her name was Ruth Ransom. She figures highly into this story. Okay. So I called her first thing in the morning. I said, "Hey, did God come see you last night?" She said, "Yes." I said, "And what did you say?" She said, "I told him no. I don't want change. I like my life the way it is. I don't want change." I didn't know what she meant by change, because I didn't know that's what I was going to do. But that is what it was going to be. It was going to be a lot of changing. Okay, so I said, "Man, don't you know? You should write your own ticket, man. God will do anything for you. You work for him? Are you crazy?" And so she had nothing to do with it. Now, it was at that point, she and I had been good friends. We talked a lot. I'd only met her about 2 times in person, but we talked a lot on the phone. Okay? That was the last time I actually saw her, or would ever probably see her again. I think I saw her one time in spirit, because where we used to be friends and we talked a lot and we were friendly with each other, something happened. She changed, and I mean, she really changed. She went from what I would call light to dark, and her behaviors all were different now. And I was disappointed about that, but all I cared about at this point is to talk to God and find out what it was I was going to be doing here, because I hadn't been awake very long. spiritually. So I didn't know anything about spiritual warfare or all that stuff. I didn't know anything about that. I was like as naive as I could be. Okay. So, but I would I was doing my best to try to make that show and make that come forward and be the best I could be at that. I didn't know what I was doing yet. So, God did come back to talk to me. And what he told me, he says, I said, so, I don't get this, because by now I'm thinking, why in the hell did they pick me? I'm not, I can't, I don't know anything about this. I mean, who am I? I mean, there's 100,000 people out there more equipped than I was, in my book. But God said, no, that's not true. He said, somewhere in the long lost past, before this world was even really going on, you are a very ancient soul. And I placed something inside of your soul for such a time as this. Okay? And he asked me, he said, what can I do for you? No, first we talked about, he said, okay, I'm going to have to get you ready for this journey. And it's not easy. That what you'll have to go through is not very easy at all. And I said, okay. I'm thinking, ooh, it's just kind of scary. But he said, you're nowhere near ready for the whole journey that you're going to have to go through. And what he said was, because that journey is not for the faint of heart, and there are not many who can actually do it. I said, wow, if they can't do it, well, how am I going to do it? He said, don't worry, I'll get you ready. Trust me. Okay, so I did. I trusted God. I trust God. Listen, God is a heck of a teacher, and he sent others that you may know who they are in the good book that came to help me in the spirit to learn the things I would have to learn. The first thing I learned was love conquers all. Okay? And it really does. I mean, it's the strongest thing in the neighborhood, in the universe. That's the strongest energy in the universe. Truth is a big deal too. Hope and faith, you need to have that, because you can't do anything with God if you ain't got those things. Okay. So then he asked me, he sat there. It was like he was sitting at a throne. I could see him, and I could see him sitting there, and I was like just kind of sitting there in front of him as he spoke to me, and I spoke to him. And I mean, I always believed in God. I can remember back when I was knee-high to grasshopper, always seeing this God in my mind. I could see that, okay? But over the years, that kind of phased out. It faded out, and I was, at this point, I had been kind of questioning, is there a God? You know what I mean? Is it, what's going on with that? Because I didn't see him, and I didn't ever hear from him. I mean, I remember back when I needed to get my kid out of a bad situation, who was with his mother, who was, she wasn't ready, to take care of him. So I had to get him from there, and she'd gotten him taken away. So I had to go to court and all that. So I was praying pretty hard. And I watched myself get cleaned up and fix my whole life. I mean, in a matter of a month or two. And I had nothing to do with it. I mean, God did it all. I mean, if there's a God, and I know that now that there is, that it wasn't my moves that did it. I was just going where I was supposed to go. So so I had gone to jail, and that's part of the deal. I had some tickets or something, It wasn't bad, but just tickets and stuff. And that was part of it. So, I mean, almost immediately, I got pulled over by the cops, and said, hey, man, guess what? You're going to jail, boy. I said, okay. And I was doing, I was going home on lunch because I needed to go and check on my child and my girlfriend that became my wife. Kids, it was summertime and the kids were home. So I went to home to do that. This is my vice. I smoke. Okay, and too bad. Get over it. Okay. Anyway, so I went to jail and they sent me. It was the tickets were pretty like the state tickets, so they sent me up to county. I'd never been in county before. All I'd ever been is city jail, and I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna? But believe it or not, my boss had told me at some point, he told me, just take care of that stuff and get back to work. I'm like, wow, make sure I keep my job too. Shit, man, that's wild. So anyway, I didn't have to pay it for a lawyer, but what happened is they sent me straight over there, and then they shipped me out to city jail. I was supposed to be in county to get arraigned on these state tickets. They didn't do that, so I sat in there and I remember people kept asking me about God and stuff, and I knew very little in jail, but people kept asking me about why. I was no authority on that. I didn't know anything about it really yet. Okay, and but I noticed that they were asking. I thought, wow. So I tried to give them hope, and stuff like that. And finally, they said, Griffin, come on in. You get to be a trustee, which means you were going to be in jail a little less time, So everybody wants to be there. So, and I was able to sneak cigarettes in and stuff like that. But, when you're 20-something years old, that's okay. We do that. We're going to do what we do. We do what we do. Anyway, so carrying on. Okay, so I go there, and I'm only there for a day. And I get called out again, and, Griffin, you have to go back to county. I said, really? I'm thinking, what, some charges? They said, no, they forgot to arraign you. So I went there, and I sat there all evening. And finally I had to ask, can I have something to eat? Because I've been on this bench for a while. And they said, yeah. But then they came in and arraigned me. I had to sign paper. And so I was waiting to go back to the city. Okay? Remember, okay, I'm supposed to be in here to set out these tickets, and it's going to be at least 8 more days, And so I'm sitting there, it rolls around about 10:30, and they said, Griffin. I said, yeah. They said, I figured it's time for me to go back to jail. And they said, it's your lucky day. They dropped your hold and you get to go home. Wow. Really? Wow, cool. So I called my girlfriend, and at that time she was my girlfriend. And I said, come and get me, man. They let me out. Wow, good, cool. And, and I was very happy to be out. You know how when you get out of jail, it's like, oh, great. So it came and got me, and of course, I didn't do any drugs, but smoked some pot, and so I had a couple of the joints of that, and I smoked the joint of that pot. Okay, that's kind of my celebration. Okay, and then I went home. I went to bed, and she and I went to bed. The rest of that's history. Okay. So, I called my boss the next morning, and he said, listen, you're okay. Listen, just hurry up and get your license and stuff taken care of, because it was like, they said my license suspended. So, I said, okay, and get back to work. I need you here. Okay, very well. So, I'm sitting here, and I'm just trying to contemplate what I have to do to go get my license taken care of. And ring, 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 ring. This is back, we didn't have cell phones. We had, a phone. Like was on the wall, So, he said, anyway, So I get this phone call, and it's he said, I'm looking for Barry Griffin. I said, I'm him. They said, listen, this is Al Rankin. I still remember the words. Al Rankin from the Child Welfare Division.
From what?
Child Welfare Division. And I said, yeah, hi, what's going on? And they said, we want you to come down and get your child. I said, why do you have my child? Well, Mr. Griffin, you just need to come down and see the court. We have a court here, and you just come on down and go to the basement, and that's where the courtrooms are, and you'll come there, and we'll explain it all, okay? So I rushed and get cleaned up and rushed down there to this place, and I get off the elevator going down, and lo and behold, my ex-wife is down there, who she's supposed to have the kid. She's standing there, and when she sees me, she starts cussing up a storm. Okay, I'm like, what? Why are you cussing me for? I remember, I don't know anything. Well, I don't have any idea what's going on. All I know is I just got out of jail for having a suspended license, basically. Okay, so I said, well, I don't know what you're cussing about, but they told me I was supposed to go over here to the deal, and she wasn't talking to me. She acted like I'd done some betrayal to her or something, but I hadn't. I didn't. I'm not that way. Anyway, so I go in there, and whenever I get in there, I'm standing at the podium to talk to the judge. So, and then my ex-wife flies off the handle right there in front of God and everybody. He says, "You're not giving my kid to him. He does every drug that there is." I said, and I did. There was a time when I did drugs, really, but I cleaned up on that stuff. I mean, and I was actually living a pretty good life. I was working a job every day and all that. And the studies done on me at that time would reflect that when it came time to, okay, because they run you through with a fine-tooth comb and all that, and there's no way that they wouldn't have seen it. But I said, what? I'm like, whoa. I said, Your Honor, that's not true. That is not true. And I'll match her piss test right now if she'd like to do that. Now, the thing I thought was funny about that is she's there with her jaw's been wired shut, and it's like someone busted her up. Now, I never hit her when I was married to her, but someone did. And and she says, the judge says, "Miss Griffin, will you do that?" And she said, "Hell no!" And she stomps out the courtroom without even being told she did. Just stomps out. And she said, then the judge looked at me. She said, "Mr. Griffin, will you still give us that urine analysis?" I said, "Sure, man. If that gets my kid out of here, yeah, you bet." I didn't think about that joint that I'd smoked, right? Because that was all that would be in me. Anyway, so I go on to take this piss test, right? And when I thought about it, I said, "Oh shit, that's gonna come up." So, and it did. It came up. Like I said, I didn't smoke very much of it, but it was enough to fucking. It came up. So, Mr. Rankin came in to me. He said, "Listen, I can't send him home to you today, but we're gonna get you a lawyer." I said, "What do I need a lawyer for?" They said, "Well, I mean, because you defend yourself on, and you'll be all right. I mean, just a little bit of part of that. Nobody's going to really worry about it too much, but still, you have to go through this process." So, okay, and for real, I mean, it was a good thing I did, because things had to be gotten ready, and there was a lot to do. I never had a kid to take care of. I mean, he was like 4 years old, and then up until then, she'd had him, and I guess she'd actually lost him 5 times, but had never told me. And what had happened is she and her boyfriend had gotten drunk, and so I guess she get pretty angry when she gets angry. So it's one of the reasons that our marriage didn't go further than it did. But I guess she got mad at the guy and walked out there with a hammer and busted every window out of his Suburban. And I guess he got kind of mad. And I remember seeing him going into jail as I was going out. I didn't know about that. But I guess her dad had come down there to what it was. And when he saw that going on like that, well, he decided he was going to bring this action and take that child. And I said that I wasn't going to let that happen because she was a mess and he was a mess. And yeah, I think my son would be better served with me. That's why I figured, and I was right. Anyway, so that goes on, and so we went through this long process of getting son back, and Christmas went by, but right after Christmas, that's when we got him back, okay? But we won, and we had to beat, it wasn't so much beating her in court, it was beating her father, who was way more established than I was. But thank God I was the father, and I stood up and took care of it, you know? That's the kind of guy I would be, you know, and to this day, I've always been that way. Okay, so anyway, now I've never had a family that really cared much about me. Like, as I said, I'm the black sheep, and pretty much I was alone, and there was never much support for me. I mean, by the time everything was done and said and done, it was like, well, like I said, I was alone. And it remained that way, and they would do things like steal from me and stuff like that. And I was trying to go to college, and I was trying to work, and it was, you know, I wish I had never come back to Oklahoma from the service, you know what I mean? Because it was kind of like getting double trouble instead of just having a good life, you know, and doing what I had to do. No, I would have to do it and take the hits that my own family would give me, and it's always really been that way, you know. Not only that, and then it was all my fault, you know, and really, no, it wasn't. It was not, because I didn't ever deal with them much because pretty much they didn't want me around, you know. And that's the way it's always been. Now, as a child, my mother was pretty nasty and mean to me. She actually hated me for some reason. I didn't know why. And my dad was pretty abusive, physically abusive, and that was all on me. Why? I hadn't done anything. I was a kid, 10 years old, you know, all the way to maybe 13. 12, you know. So that's the way it went in the first parts of my life. Okay. Now we did get him back, and I married that woman who was my girlfriend, and we remained married for 14 years, and she passed away from cancer. Now that's the closest I ever came to love. Now here's the deal. This person I'm fixing to talk about, one of these people, had gotten involved behind my back with my wife and just meddling, you know, and caused a lot of trouble between us. And so that's the kind of person this person is. She's a Leo. We'll call her a Leo, because she's a nasty, mean woman. I'm going to tell it straight up. Because she works for the police, gets people in trouble, but does the same thing she's getting people for, and she's a habitual liar, okay? And that's reality. That's who they, and there's a lot of that going on. They're called CIs, confidential informants. They're like, we call them hood rats. But all they really do is do the same thing and do these crimes along with these people they're telling on, and but they don't get in trouble because they're rats, and get people to go to jail. And when they go to jail, here's a real kicker. Then they break into their houses and rob them and stuff like that. That's a big deal here in Oklahoma City. Sad to say it, but it is. And when you go to jail in Oklahoma City, you don't walk out ever with, I'm not guilty. I don't care how hard you try, because they use that jail as coercion to make you plead it out just to get out of there and get some sunshine. You know what I mean? So that's the way it is here in Oklahoma City. That's why, I mean, sad but true. And that's my buddy right over there, who he and I've seen this time and time again. That's the way it is here. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. See? So anyway, so that's the way it is. Okay, now the reason I'm here, that's part of my life story, but that's going to come in time. This is done today because I watched these people tell their lies, do their crimes, and tell their lies, and I've sat for 7 years now, and listened to their tell their lies, trash my name, slander me all over hell, okay? And I just continue to work for God, because I'm the guy I'm the guy who's with God. I'm that guy. I'm the anointed messenger of God, and messenger and warrior, and God gets the glory here. I'm not me, but He's had to train me all through this to get me ready to do this. Okay, to be this part. As soon as that happened, and the first mission I had to go with, once I got out of being hermit mode, and many people in this community, they've seen me, they know who I am, but by my name, or a lot of times they don't even see my face, you know what I mean? But today you can see my face. Here I am. Yeah, that little unshaved, but I don't care. I'm here. I'm here for the fight, because I'm tired of watching these people lie. And they listen. Okay, so now there's something I got to inject here. When I was sitting there talking to God, and I'm wondering, because I mean, what do you say to this? I mean, when He tells you, I came for you, and it doesn't matter who else worked for me, and He told me things about my life that I was unaware of. I didn't know. I mean, a lot of things that were just, wow, really? I'm like, why wasn't I told? Why did they not tell me anything? Okay? And I was never ever a big churchgoer or anything. But I loved God. I did. And to this day, I'm never going to be a religious man. But because I don't see all those people that, I mean, it's good to have fellowship, sure it is. But it's about God. It's about us having a relationship with God. I don't want to have a relationship with more people, because we're all of us are kind of somewhat messed up. I mean, so I just assume talk to God, Jesus, and keep it like that, and and at least I get the truth. You know what I mean? I guess, and if He needs something from me, He tells me what I need to do. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't get this rigmarole bullshit. I don't get people trying to steal from me or lie to me or anything else. Because I don't care where you are. People will lie, cheat, and steal, and that's just the way they are. I'm not sorry, but it's true. Now, some of us don't, but the people I'm going to speak of, that's all they do. Okay? And so I have one friend left in my whole world. Okay? And because he's the only one I can trust. The rest of them haven't been trustworthy to me in so many years I can't count. But I've known him for 50-something years? Hans? Mike?
Yeah.
How many years? How many years we known each other?
Huh?
How many years we known each other?
Goddamn, since 1970.
Yeah. 50 years or so better, you know. So,
More than that, more than 50.
he earned his trust, okay? And it's me too. But for the most part, anybody else, God saw them as not fit, and they left my life. And there's nobody else, okay? And so I pretty much spend all my time alone. Unless once in a while I'll see my buddy here, okay? And my dog passed away, so I don't have a dog anymore. But he's in heaven, you know. But anyway, but here's the thing. All these people that were taken from my life, okay? Because once you do this, you get in this role of what you have to do, and there's a job to do here. And he placed this thing inside me that said that I would change the world, and I would be the light of that world, and I would have to work very hard, but I would bring heaven on earth, okay? And when you look at a daunting task like that, and I'm like, excuse me, sorry. You wonder, how on earth am I ever going to do this? Well, I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with God, because God can do what I can't do. And that's the way I look at it, is that God wouldn't send me in to do something that I couldn't do. He would make sure I have all the things I need. Okay? And those things were supposed to have come too. But guess what? I have a sister named Sherry Castro. I'm going to name these names. And there's a brother who is Larry Griffin. And there's a Ruth who is Ruth Ransom. And her I guess husband or ex-husband who is Jerry Ransom. And there's some more. There's an Aries who works for the court system, and there's a who else am I thinking of? There's some other particulars, but and then they had all these people who gang stalk and everything else. I mean, they really went to town on it. Okay. And I'm not sure, but I think that maybe I have an older sister who's been involved too, but I'm not sure about that yet. But I am going to find out, because I have found out a lot. I've got evidence. So if you think I'm not going to tell, there's going to be evidence going to court with me. Believe it. And I'm not about trying to make. I'm not trying to be nice. I'm not trying to make nice now, because they pushed it a little too far. I mean, listen. I left them alone, and I told them, okay, you've done this. You stole an inheritance that was given to me by my grandmother. Okay? And I know that they did it. And I watched them do it. Okay? So, and now we're actually getting evidence on certain accounts, because they came into my house and stole no license of mine out of my billfold. You know? I know they did it. My brother knows my social security number, and he did it. He's always been a thief. Now, why? And then you've got my sister, who actually got I mean, the bank even said this to me one day. Yes, I know she killed your mother to steal her house, right? I said, you knew about that? Oh yeah, well, everybody knows about that. Okay, and she did. I mean, they get that hospice and they get that what do you call it, a power of attorney. Listen, lawmakers, you need to do something about that because that's happening a lot. And that woman wasn't ready to go yet. She had some dementia, but it was at the first stages of it. And listen, I'd go over there and look after her and stuff and take care of her. And she, I mean, a few days before that, I had sat with her and we laughed and drank coffee together, and because she put her in this nursing home, but made a big to do whenever my mom wanted to walk to the store. My mother was still, she was able to walk to the store and just right down on the corner, make a big deal like she got to be locked up. Quit. These people lived for 80 years alone, okay? They are able to walk to the store. You can't take away their liberty. You can look out for them, but you can't just take their liberty away because some woman wants to take her house. But that's what she did. Anyway, so, but I know because I watched it. I sat right there and watched it. And I'd asked my Mom, please, give me something to fight with. Because listen, I don't care about anything that you have, but listen, I know what they're doing. I see it. And I tried to tell my brother and sister. And guess what? Nobody was listening. But they listen now. They know it's true now. Anyway, so now I know this may sound odd to people that God actually, I could see God, I could talk to Him, okay? But believe it, when you have that much faith and that much belief in God, and He needs you, because believe me, if you seek God, He will find you. Think it's not true? It's true. Anyway, so gather my thoughts here. Now, one day he tells me, he comes and he goes, your sister has stolen your inheritance. I didn't know I had an inheritance yet, okay? I didn't know, and he said, she also stole your house. I did not know about a house. There was obviously a car too, but I guess my brother got in it and wrecked it. I knew nothing about that stuff. I was kept in the dark on it, you see. It's okay, because it's just me, they can take what's mine. You know what I mean? That's the way they felt about it. But I'm sorry, no, ain't happening. Not gonna go, ain't gonna go for it. That God promised me all that stuff, and guess what? They decided they'd just come on in here and steal it. And that's exactly what they did. Her and several other people that were with them. It was a lot of money. Anyway, so I had to do most of this walk with God. I did it broke, where they were, and I guess they're living in that house right there. Okay, but what really makes me mad about it is that they actually lie on me about it, and they're telling all these lies about me, trying to slander my name and trying to smear my name. And you can ask people who actually know it, him. You can ask God. Usually I'm right here and I'm minding my own business. You know what I mean? I don't bother anybody, and I really stay in my own lane. But today, as I heard and I listened to some of the things that they were doing and talking, smack about me as usual. They can't seem to keep my name out of their mouth. I thought to myself, it's time. It's time that I just tell you the whole how it went down, all the truth about it. And anybody who's listening, if you're a lawyer or if you're the police, guess what? Help us, because people like this are just, man, they're jerks. I mean, I came to help God. God asked me for something, to do something for him, and I came for that. That's all I did. And I'm so tired of people attacking me for it.
You got my lighter over there?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Here. And it just makes me so mad because, they came in, even started acting like they were me, and they told the courts, I guess, that I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. In fact, I'm pretty well-rounded as far as my mind goes, and that I've kept together even through all of the garbage I've had to walk through on this deal, and still I try to maintain a good heart and stuff, even though it is very hard to take the anger that you can feel when people start doing this kind of stuff to you. You know what I mean? I mean, because nobody deserves this, and nobody deserves it for 20-something years. That Leo has been a thorn in my side, even whenever I remember about maybe 3 years prior to my mom being passed away like that. She came in and told me, she said, Greg, you're not going to get my house. I said, Mom, I don't want your house. But, I always did the work on it. I did. I was, my mom didn't know anything about housing. And I remember, and my buddy can even, he knows. He was with me when we did the work on building a deck and building, taking care of things. He lived in a mobile home, see. And if you know anything about mobile homes, they can get bad off pretty quick. And especially when you let a kid work on your rain gutters and he doesn't know what he's doing, well, it just trashed it. But I wound up having to fix all that, see. Not to mention I'd come over and mow the lawns and take care of the dog and cat. Because, I mean, she was an old lady, and she had just put her husband away because he died of cancer. Okay, so I helped her where I could. And there was only me and Sherry and her kids and stuff. Of course, my mom never really knew my kid because, like I said, I wasn't looked upon as anybody in the family. I just, nobody really cared a shit. But when nobody's around, Mom would laugh and cut up with her, me and Mike, but there was somebody always smearing my name to somebody, you know what I mean? I mean, one time, they actually went into, my mom's a clean freak, and I wasn't even home, but when I got there, I got in big trouble because someone had actually walked into the mud in the brick. It was raining out, walked all over in the mud, and purposely walked all over the carpet and into the bathroom that I used. But I wasn't even home. But I knew who did it. Boy, it really caused a real rift between me and my mother because, like I said, she was a clean freak. And that's the kind of things, the mean little nasty things that she would do, my sister would do, to cause this rift, okay? And always made sure that I was not invited to any Thanksgiving, Christmas, anything. And since then, all those times, I've never ever spent a any kind of holiday with my family ever again. Because this person who had mom's ear, and well, she'd been working on keeping the ear of the Underhills, who were my mother's side of the family, and went up to get a big, like $400,000 or something from my father when he died. I don't know who gave him any of that money. I sure didn't see any of that. You see, it was all about her. She's a narcissist and a bad one. But I can live with all that. But what I can't live with is that they do this and then they try to act like they're a victim in it. And I haven't touched anything, but you know what? Thank goodness they have been living a paper trail all over hell. They think that they hadn't, but guess what? When your brother's a crackhead, he just wants to have something. He don't care. He makes mistakes to get his money. So now, meanwhile, prior to this, I had been with a girlfriend. Okay, there's a girl named. Her name was Carol. Okay, and so we. She asked me to come and be with her and all that stuff, and I was with her, and we got along pretty good. And she would go out and drive her truck because she was a truck driver. And I get money from the veterans, and so I'd stay there at the house and I'd work on this house. It was an old house, and it was a mess. It was a mess. There was a lot of work to do, but I did it, and that man helped me do it. Okay, and somewhere down the road, I found that she'd been cheating on me, for one thing. And we saw if we could work this thing out, but her demeanor started changing, and I needed to do something up with that. Anyway, so we started calling cops and stuff like that on me, but I didn't get in trouble because I hadn't done anything wrong. But when that starts happening, it's time to go. It's time to leave. You know what I mean? You don't stick around with a woman who does that. So I left and got an apartment with my kid and a girlfriend. Well, I started noticing at that point that Carol was kind of acting kind of weird. I mean, and I mean, I was concerned for her. Listen, I loved her. But I just knew that it was going to be over, So I'd seen some, just, how you see things and just know it's time. Well, anyway, so I'd go out there and I'd still work on the yard because I did all the work out there, she never do any of it, it was me. So I never got paid or anything. We were supposed to get something out of it, but guess what? Now that got broke off as soon as my sister and my brother got involved, you see. But okay, there's another hit, there's no loss, okay. But I was more worried about she wasn't acting like the same Carol I knew. I mean, she was. I'd come over to like mow the lawn and stuff, okay, and she would be laying in dirty diapers and stuff like that. She wasn't diapers, But I mean, something was wrong with her. Something had changed in her physical thing, something. Okay, so I watched that for a while, and finally I called 211, which was that's the thing that you call about medical stuff or things that you might need in case said just like that. I said, listen. I have a girlfriend who was a girlfriend, but I'm not there now. But she's showing some real signs of something's wrong, and I was almost in tears to tell her about that because you don't want to tell, you don't want to be that. But so I said, is there a way that I could get someone, an ambulance or something like that, to go out there and go in and check on her and you'll see what I mean. Because I knew if they went out there, they'd see what I saw. Because my son and I had gone over there and cleaned things up for her. But the next time we turned out, it's the same way. You know what I mean? So I did that, and a day went by, and they never called me back to tell me what had happened. And so I finally called the guy back, the operator back, and I said, listen, could you tell him? Well, we're not supposed to, but since you were the one who called and got it done, we're going to, you know. I said, yeah, because I need to find out where she went, what happened. And so they had gone out there, and they said, yes, she is. She's in need of some assistance somewhere because she ain't right. And they took her to the Guthrie jail. No, jail. I said, no, excuse me, not jail, hospital, okay? And so, of course, I went out there and found her, and there she was laying on bed there, and I was glad to see that she looked much better, you know. And so I talked to that doctor. I said, Doc, now, you know, could you tell me, please tell me what did you find and why what's going on with her? He said, we did find a spot on her brain, and there seems to be some kind of an injury. We don't know if it's a stroke, if it's an aneurysm, whatever, but it's something, and that's probably what it is. That's probably got to do with it. Okay, so then I knew I was right. Okay, so I mean, I'm not crazy. I see things the way they are. Okay, and I care about the people I care about. I mean, you know, listen. There is, you know, God told me I have a pure heart, and I know that's true. Because I don't wish bad upon people. You know, I don't. You know, I've seen it now from some people that I never thought like that. Now I get angry at times, but I don't just sit around and plot on people. You know what I mean? And that's what these people have been doing on me. Now, today is my way of saying we're going to go to court because all the things that they stole. We're going to see a judge because there's nothing working out, because they don't stop. They just don't stop. And why is a woman named Ruth Ransom holding on to my grandmother's money along with this other guy who worked for the court system and actually got the money out of there and took half of it and gambled it off? You see what I mean? That happened. And then why is a house that was willed to me being lived in by my sister who didn't even have the same father? Or why is my brother with this woman who I was boyfriends with, and she hates him and keeps on trying to come back to me, but I don't want. I do not want to be with her. No, I've already told her, no, it's over, because she collaborated with these people, okay? And she actually wasn't even supposed to be here. She's supposed to be with her daughter when they took her out of the nursing home. So I used to go there every day and see her at the nursing home until they did that. And everything changed. And they just betrayed the hell out of me on it. You know, so I walked away. And I said, okay. But in the meantime, they're robbing me blind. Now that's all can be all looked into, and you will find that I am telling the truth. And if they say otherwise, check it, please check it. But I'm going to tell you right now, all of you, it's time for you to keep my name out of your mouths. Quit trying to plot on me. Quit trying to tell people I'm doing this or that when I'm not. Because as God is my witness, all I'm doing is working for God. And I've had enough.
When I let God do stealing.
And quit stealing from me. You have no right to any of that stuff, and it needs to get back here to me, where it was willed to. It wasn't yours. How dare you? These people are awful, okay? And they've been awful for this many years, and I am at my wit's end with it. Actually, I think the law needs to go out there and start arresting people. They've called and made false reports about me. They've trashed 2 vehicles of mine. Now I don't have a car left now. Who are these people? And what on earth they're animals. Now that's the real truth. And there is no lie in any of that. So anything that they say, if it opposes that, it's a lie. Okay? Now I'm telling you that, and I'm telling it to the public. So please, tell everyone that the Devine High Preist made a video, and I'm going to put it public on the line, and you can. There's the story, and we are at where we're at right now. I know God's listening to me. I know the people who are in my community will see it. That's the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. I haven't done anything to these people either. And though they deserve it. I'm telling you that they deserve it. But I haven't taken any action like that. Because old man upstairs said, no, don't do that. And believe me, he says, I understand you've got righteous anger, but ain't the way to handle it, okay? So I ain't handling it that way. But I'm handling it this way. It's going to stop. It's going to stop one way or the other. The stalking, the lying, the slander, the defamation of character, all of it. For those of them that know me, Lord, this is all me, and I said what I said. And if you're mad at me for it, I'm sorry. I needed to stand up and say what's the truth, because all the people are getting really is lies. But most of them can discern by the way these people act and the things that they say that it's all what I'm saying is true. And all I ever did in this deal was all I ever wanted to do was to love God and be His help and bring heaven on earth. That's it. That's all I ever wanted to do. Lord, forgive me if I've done wrong, but it was time. Y'all, thank you for listening. God bless you all.